Mm, 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 mm. It's Friday. Good morning, 6:06 a.m. and good morning. Christ is King. And I'm so grateful that I got here safe this morning. The roads, they kind of suck, at least in the city of Bloomington, the town of Normal. The city roads kind of suck, but the highways look great. Crystal clear. 55 southbound was what I was taking. And then I peeked over at 55 northbound. Looks like there was one lane down when it splits into 3 lanes there. There was one lane that wasn't plowed, but, uh, patchy snow, before 4 PM today, patchy blowing snow. That's one thing that you gotta be safe about, when you're on the highway. It's this blowing snow that just is coming in from the fields off to the side because we have no trees, we have no, hills, so that snow is just rolling over into the highway. So it's gonna be partly sunny today, cold with a high near 9 degrees. Wind chill values are at -8 and -13, between -8 and 13 today. It is gonna be cold. Wind gusts could get as high as 32 miles per hour. That's one thing I noticed today driving in. It was just super windy and the car's just kinda moving. And, if it gets out of that lane by just a little bit, then you could slip on some snow that's not been plowed. But while most of us are snug in our beds, some of the McLean County finest, some of the state's finest are working to keep our roads safe as these winter storms continue to just ravage the area. Please do me a favor, help out the plow drivers, help out the plow operators, move over as far right as you can as you feel doing so. Don't tailgate a plow truck. And if you see a plow, if you can't see the plow's mirrors, the operator can't see you. So do everything you can. Have your lights on. Put your lights on when there's a plow there, and again, thank you to all the township, the village, the city, the county, snowplow operators for your sacrifices so we can get where we need to go and get there on time and safe. And thank God today. Thank God when you get to your destination safely, because He is a good, good God, and He is just full of grace when we don't deserve it a lot of the time. So again, thank you to the snowplow operators. It's going to get cold today, pretty cold. Tonight, it's going to get down to about -2. Wind chill values -9 or -14 to 19. The wind gust could get up to 24 miles per hour. So stay safe, and I hope you get where you're going to this morning on time. So this morning we've got so much to talk about. I'm very excited because it's Friday. I pulled a couple of fun stories. One story, this indigenous specimen. That's what I'm going to call this person because I have no idea if it's a male, female. But this specimen, I'm not sure who this specimen is from the World Economic Forum, but that didn't stop Elon Musk from having a field day with this indigenous specimen on X. I think it's a woman, this indigenous person that was at the World Economic Forum. I told you guys yesterday it looked like some sort of satanic ritual, to be honest with you, which he was doing at the World Economic Forum on stage. We're going to get to it. Plus, NBC Sports. I'm so sick of these. You know what? Boycott the NFL, boycott sports. These people who operate this this world are disturbing. NBC Sports, they thought that they could remove the Texans quarterback, CJ Stroud, praising Jesus without the internet noticing. This is why people hate the media. This is why. And I'm going to get to the story. And of course, we've got to talk about Rupaul. He uses his Emmy speech to defend indoctrinating kids with drag queens. So we're going to talk about his Emmy speech and how he defends the indoctrination of children using drag queens. They use drag queens and they try to indoctrinate your kids into thinking it's normal behavior and that's the status quo when it's not. So we're going to chat all about that here on the Morning Buzz in the 6 o'clock hour. You can always see me live in studio. That's YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. And you can text in at 309-451-9299. Schools, some schools are still going today. Yeah, I know. There's cancellations, delays, and closings on our website. You can go check it out. That's cities99.com. And we'll start here. I want to start with our daily check in at Davos. It's time for our daily check in of Davos. And it looks like Elon has already said what we're all thinking. Right now, there's this video circulating on social media of what appears to be a woman dressed up in some sort of Indian attire. And I mean the Pocahontas Indian, not the 7-Eleven Indian. Hello, welcome to 7-Eleven. Would you like the big gulp cup? No, not that Indian. I'm talking, Pocahontas Indian. So Elon said this. It wasn't, Pocahontas Indian. Elon said it was Elizabeth Warren Indian at the World Economic Forum, and it about cracked me up. But here we go. This clip. I'm going to share it with us, and you tell me. I mean, what do you think this is, and why would the World Economic Forum be participating in this and allow this? Here we go. Let's take a listen.
A tua mãe chaya na no Camaru Anuri, no Camai, no Cauacá, na Anuri, no Yuyuá, na Warron Chinam, o Punk, tu Chinam, Chaval aqui, Chinamo Kikirani, Tsai, Chavakirani, Tsai, Makikirani. Awama Wananum, no Maunu Wai Sharai.
What? He's like blowing on the people on stage, like blowing on their foreheads. What? I don't know. It's weird. These people are so weird. I think she was doing some sort of like rain dance or spirit dance or something, trying to summon like some sort of spirit, and she starts blowing on people's heads. And as Elon said on Twitter, wow, I didn't know Elizabeth Warren was at Davos. Thank you, Elon. You said what we were all thinking. And that was hard to watch. If you were watching it with me on the YouTube live stream, just imagining that woman in my face like that makes me want to scream. What exactly does blowing on someone like that do? She just goes, it's like, oh gosh, I could imagine some spit getting onto my forehead. It makes me wanna scream. Why is this happening at the World Economic Forum? Well, it's probably because that's how much respect they have for all of us, which is no respect at all. Okay, they don't respect us. These are unelected overlords who want to rule every single aspect of our entire lives, down to the point of eating bugs and living in a closet. They have an opinion about anything and everything, but the thing is, no one elected them. You see, nobody elected you. No one asked you. No one likes you. But the global disgust and that we have for these people, these self-appointed tyrants, the global disgust that we have for them won't get in the way of them trying to control every little aspect of our lives, right down to the stove we use, to the food we eat. These are narcissistic sociopaths who don't care what you have to say. They don't care. Uh, and Elon said this. He goes, "The real issue is that Klaus Schwab, wants to be emperor of the earth. He certainly dresses for the part. And that the policies that seem to emerge from this gathering don't seem to make for an exciting future." And I couldn't have said it better myself, Elon. Okay, these policies that are coming out of this gathering, they're not exciting. They're not exciting for the future. In fact, they're terrifying. According to the World Economic Forum, this year's annual meeting launched the Indigenous Peoples Knowledge and Leadership Network. Okay, so what is that, Cat? Well, here's what the World Economic Forum says that is. Indigenous leaders from around the world are attending the World Economic Forum's 2024 annual meeting in Davos, Switzerland, to share their unique perspective in charting a way forward. From speaking on the balance of nature and economies to reconciling cutting edge technologies with indigenous knowledge, this year's intergenerational cohort of indigenous leaders will join a range of sessions reflecting the perspectives of long-standing and next-generation leadership. Ugh, I'm winded. That was a whole lot of McGurgan jargon. They want us to go back into the caves. They want us to go back to caves. They want us to live without everything that that has advanced society thus far. They want us to live without our gas stove. They want us to live without food, okay, in the grocery store. What sort of cutting edge technology, by the way, have the indigenous leaders brought to the table? What economy has thrived under indigenous knowledge? And what sort of information will the Indigenous Peoples Knowledge and Leadership Network have that the rest of the Western world does not have? Okay, I'm just saying, can Indigenous knowledge benefit the West? No, it absolutely cannot do anything for us, but destroy our very thriving economies. Right now, not so much because Joe Biden. But I'm not trying to insult a vague group of people. I'm really not. I'm just saying that the West has advanced and grown more than any other group of people and that had nothing to do with this vague ancient knowledge that these indigenous people have. That has nothing to do with it. And it's so infuriating. What's also so infuriating about this is that this is forced cultural imperialism. And for the record, to imply a significant amount of people with indigenous blood still live like it was in the 1500s is insulting, by the way, and it's racist. To try to suggest that there are people out there with indigenous blood that still live like they did in the 1500s, okay? Uh, the point is that indigenous knowledge is just a long-winded way of saying tradition. And if there is any tradition that is valid evidence and provides valid evidence that it actually benefits society, I'm all for that. If there's a valid tradition that benefits society, I'm totally for that. But just because a certain group of people has a tradition, that alone does not mean it is valid. Okay. If it actually is proven to benefit society, then yeah, I'm all for tradition. But just because a certain group of people has a tradition, that alone doesn't mean it's valid. It's just another way of saying that the Western culture is bad and what the West is bad, and I don't like it. All right, I'm back in just a little bit. You're tuned in to Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal, and we are going to be back. I'll inform you about some cancellations and closings and delays next in your area. Good morning. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in each and every morning. You guys can go ahead and smash that like button and share this out with your friends. We're going to be back talking a little bit about CJ Stroud and how NBC Sports actually edited out something he said. Yes, something so vile, something so terrible. They had to edit out what he said and they posted it digitally. Now, it did air live what he said. His complete statement aired live. So we're going to be back talking a little bit about that. And we've got a big show planned for you today because I also do want to get to Rupaul and what he said at the Emmys. You're listening to The Morning Buzz. Smash the like button. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's Cat Peterson 929. And we're back. Wow, this coffee is absolutely amazing. Maybe you've got a cup of coffee. Maybe you're driving into work. Stay safe out there. The roads kind of crappy in the city here and kind of like the more rural roads, definitely not plowed, but the highways were pretty clear. At least I-55 northbound and southbound. I checked those out this morning, and they're they were pretty clear. And big shout out to the plow operators. Big thank you as these winter storms continue through the month of January. Usually it subsides some a little bit in February and March, but as these winter storms continue, do me a favor, help out our plow operators, turn your lights on, move over as far right as you feel safe doing so, and don't tailgate the plow truck. If you can't see the plow mirrors, the plow operator cannot see you. So big thank you to all the township, village, city, and county plow operators for your sacrifices. We're all tucked in really cozy in our beds, and some of Illinois' finest, some of McLean County's finest are out there working to keep the road safe. So big thank you to you guys, and thank you God for getting us to our destination where we needed to go, and hopefully on time and safe. So big thank you to God and our plow operators as we deal with some snow this morning. Now, I was looking for closures, cancellations. I don't think we've got too much going on. We do have a normal parking ban, so um, don't park a normal. You'll get a ticket. And then Dunlap, the village of Dunlap, they also have a parking ban, from what I can tell. And yeah, so no street parking until noon today in Dunlap. We've got closures, cancellations up on our website. That's cities99.com. If you want to report a closing, you can do so at 309-451-9299, or a cancellation or some sort of delay, and I'll inform the listeners. Okay, before we took the break, we were talking about the World Economic Forum. There was this Indigenous Specimen from the World Economic Forum doing some sort of spirit dance or rain dance or something, and I was telling you that these people don't take anything seriously. They have no respect for you. And they're a bunch of narcissistic sociopaths that don't care what you have to say. They're unelected tyrants, unelected overlords who want to rule every aspect of your entire life. They want to right down to the tiniest detail. They want you to live in a closet and they want you to eat bugs. That's what they want you to do, but they will not follow their own rules. That's clear because here we have John Kerry, right, taking all these private planes. Klaus Schwab, they take private planes to this event. And, they've got this indigenous people thing. And I just was asking the question, hey, can indigenous knowledge really benefit the West? It absolutely cannot do anything for us except help destroy our thriving economy. Okay, this indigenous knowledge is just another way of saying, it's a long-winded way of saying tradition. Okay, and if there is tradition where there's valid evidence that that would actually benefit society and the tradition benefits society, I'm all for that. But just because a certain group of people has a tradition, that alone does not make it valid. It doesn't mean it's valid, okay? I thank God all the time for the pilgrims. I thank I mean, I have a Thanksgiving special out there that you guys have got to go listen to. I did it this year, and it goes into the true story about Thanksgiving and about the Pilgrims. And look, I thank God for the people who actually came to the West and civilized the West, okay? Because some of these indigenous people, and I'm not ripping on a vague group of people, I'm just telling you what their tradition really was. These ancient traditions that were going on in the 1500s prior to them coming over on the Mayflower. What was going on was they were cutting people's hearts out quite literally and and holding them up to the sky and praying for rain. Okay, I'm glad that we've moved on since the 1500s. You know, everybody's like, oh, they're progressive, progressive, progressive. They're actually not. The left is not very progressive at all. In fact, I would say they're regressive. They are going way back in time. I mean, now they're talking about housing migrants in your house. You can volunteer for your very own migrant. And, I brought this up yesterday. Democrats, I would not doubt, we're going to start to see some Democrats volunteer for these migrants, and they're going to get to cherry pick which migrant they get. They're not going to pick the Albiro Vesquez Roman type where, he's the sex trafficker who points guns at women's heads and forces them into prostitution. Yes, that happened in Chicago, and yes, he's been detained, and the Cook County judge said, I can't release you. So you're going to have to sit here, and you don't get this whole pretrial release thing there, bud. So no, 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 no. These white guilt Democrat, these wine moms, they're not going to pick that type of migrant. They're going to pick a brown migrant that's kind, that's nice. And they're going to take advantage of that brown migrant, and they're going to make him or her an indentured servant while they're out in the middle of the day sipping on their wine in Naperville. And they're going to be like, oh, look at my indentured servant. Look at the Gucci bag I bought my indentured servant. Like, what? Wait a second. I thought that we ended slavery. Make no mistake. Or mark my words here, folks. I'm telling you, that's where the direction we're headed. These Democrats, they are the party of slavery. They are the party of this regressive, odd behavior. They want us to probably practice the indigenous, ancient tradition of cutting people open and holding their hearts up to the sky and praying for rain. Okay, from the rain gods. That's what they were doing in the 1500s. So I don't know what tradition they're talking about here at the World Economic Forum, but just because a certain group of people as a tradition, that alone does not make it valid. There has to be evidence that that tradition benefits society. Okay, and I'm sorry, but this tradition of cutting people's hearts out and throwing them up to the sky and praying for rain, I don't think that really benefits society. I'm just going out on a limb there and saying that. So I think this whole indigenous knowledge network that they've got going on at the World Economic Forum, this is just another way to attack the West and to say that the Western culture is bad. And it's not. The West is not bad. We have a thriving economy. I don't want to go back and live in some caves. I'm not cool with that. What cutting edge technology have indigenous leaders brought to the table? They haven't. Okay. Um, so I do want to shift gears. I do want to talk about rookie quarterback CJ Stroud. Now, he has been leading the Houston Texans in all kinds of victories. He led the Houston Texans to a wild card victory on the road to eventually losing to the Buffalo Bills in 2 weeks. After the win, this was what rookie quarterback CJ Stroud, I mean, he said something so appalling, so inappropriate that while it aired on live TV, NBC Sports, they had to make it a point to edit out his indecent comments. Okay, he said something so appalling, so inappropriate. They had to edit it out before they posted a digital version of what he said on X on Twitter. What vile filth came out of CJ Stroud's mouth? Well, Stroud said, "Wait a second, let me check my notes here." Stroud, he said nice things about Jesus. Yes, Jesus Christ. Seriously. Okay, so I'm chatting about that story here next on The Buzz. Find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. Good morning. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in each and every morning. You can go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just subscribe by hitting this little box. It's got my face on it. You can subscribe very easily. Just go ahead and subscribe at Cat Peterson 929 on YouTube, and we're going to be coming back. Did you know that there's a bill out there that would actually require schools to call animal control on students who identify as furries? So this is pretty interesting. It's out of Oklahoma, and I'm totally here for this bill. I think it's hilarious. Well, this is absolutely hilarious, and I'm totally here for this bill. It's out of Oklahoma. A Republican lawmaker in Oklahoma, he's taking a stand against one of the most pressing issues that faces America: furries in school. Yes, there is a bill out there that would actually require schools to call animal control on students who identify as furries. The left, they constantly dehumanize themselves, but they just don't do that. They try to force the rest of society to join in on the insanity, and I'm just not going to do that. And when we refuse, we're considered intolerant. But there's this compassionate lawmaker out there in Oklahoma. He's a Republican. He decided to condone their behavior, and they're still going off of the walls. They're still all upset because this guy decided to condone their behavior. And he said, you know what? The school should be calling animal control on the students who identify as furries or identify as animals, because aren't they animals? He's condoning that behavior. And they're mad about it. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. Okay. So we're going to get to that bill here coming up on the Morning Buzz in just a little bit. Also, we'll talk about Rupaul, because Rupaul, he gave this Emmy speech. And of course, he's defending the indoctrinating of kids with drag queens. So that shouldn't shock you, but we'll get to that after we get to CJ Stroud. So CJ Stroud, he said some very appalling and inappropriate things, and I'm nervous to even air them here on the Morning Buzz. Okay, but NBC Sports, they made it a point to edit out his indecent comments before posting it to X. So they edited out the digital version. It did air live. Okay, so what vile filth came out of CJ Stroud's mouth? CJ Stroud, he is a rookie quarterback, Houston Texans. He's led the team to a lot of victories, and there was a wild card victory on the road. And he was talking and he was saying nice things about Jesus. That's the vile thing that came out of his mouth that they had to edit out. Seriously, this is what he said. He goes, first and foremost, I want to give all glory and praise to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Okay, so that's what he said. Here is the first clip. This is the unedited clip. And then I'm going to get to NBC Sports and how they edited out the digital clip that they posted to X. This is the unedited one that aired live on TV. Let's take a listen.
Jesus Christ. I mean, it's been amazing being in this city for as short as I've been, but the love that I've got, I've really just been doing it for Houston, man. People back home, I'm blessed enough to be in the position I am and blessed enough to be playing at a high level right now. And we got to just keep it going, but I'm super blessed.
So many of your teammates contributed in this victory. How were you able to find so many targets?
Just the hard work we put in at practice. There's no me without my teammates, my O-line, my tight ends, my running backs, my receivers, my defense. We all put it together. When you play complementary football, we're going to be hard to beat.
CJ, best of luck moving forward. Thanks so much.
Thank you. God bless.
All right. So he said it, folks. He said, first and foremost, I want to give glory and praise to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Not everybody found CJ Stroud what he said to be problematic. We actually have country music superstar and Houston native Parker McCollum. He dropped a tweet and he said that if all the other quarterbacks loved Jesus as much as CJ Stroud did, it might make the world a better place. That's what he said. He said this in the tweet exactly. This is Parker McCollum. He's a country music superstar and a Houston native. And he said, imagine if all 32 starting NFL quarterbacks praise Jesus as much as CJ does. It would be monumental. Yes, and someone at NBC Sports digital team, the people who cut things for their X page, um, they they disagreed. Um, Showing love for a city being run into a ground by progressive policies, and I'm talking about Houston here, is okay though. Showing love for Jesus, I don't really want to. I don't want to show people that CJ Stroud loves Jesus. I'll cut this, and I'm gonna play the cut version now because they jump cut, and he's showing, like, love for his city, and they explicitly, like, edit out his love for Jesus and how he said, "First and foremost, I wanna give all praise and glory to Jesus Christ." They edit that part out, and they jump cut it to change what he said. Here we go, let's take a listen.
Season and a record-setting performance for you. What does this moment mean?
I mean, it's been amazing being in this city for as short as I've been, but the love that I've got, I've really just been doing it for Houston, man. People back home, I'm blessed enough to be in the position I am and blessed enough to be playing at a high level right now. And we got to just keep it going, but I'm super blessed.
CJ, your first playoff game in your first NFL season and a record-setting performance for you. What does this moment mean?
And
I mean, it's been amazing.
so that's the jump cut. They edited out how he loves Jesus. It's hard to tell, oh, what is the most offensive. Okay, this is very offensive. I can't believe that CBS Sports did this, but I'm not too shocked. Okay, that the digital team disagreed with, you know, Christians and disagreed with this sentiment about how he's giving all praise and glory to Jesus is Lord and Savior. Someone would argue, me, I'll argue this, editing out a loving message about Jesus, it was editing out a loving message about Jesus when had Stroud, if he were to praise Joe Biden, Planned Parenthood, or Pfizer, I bet the digital team would have kept it in. Okay, but because he was praising Jesus and he shared a loving message about Jesus Christ, they edited that out. But had he said something about Planned Parenthood, Biden 2024, or Pfizer, they would have kept it in. But I'm not surprised. I wish I could say I'm surprised. The digital team is most likely run out of New York City, where they hate Jesus, unless they're claiming that he's Palestinian. Okay, so New York City, they hate him, and they try to say he's Palestinian, and they'll only love him if they say he's a Palestinian, which isn't true, by the way. Jesus was a Jew. The person who made the edit probably was just bitter, okay, and they were stuck editing the Texans game instead of editing the Taylor Swift game where she's up there in the stands cheering for, Kelsey. Okay, that was airing next. So this guy probably got stuck editing the Texans game. I was also offended by the sloppy jump cut. Like, being a blasphemous twat is bad enough, but then for the love of I mean, for the love of Pete, so show some professional pride. This jump cut is just embarrassing. The internet was quick to point out what was missing. I'm going to get to some comments on the internet because people, they are not letting this go. This is blown up, and people are very upset that NBC Sports did this. I say boycott them all. I'm back next on the buzz. Morning. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in each and every morning. And you guys can go ahead, smash the like button. We're going to come back. We're going to finish up the CJ Stroud story, and then we'll talk about Rupaul and this Emmy speech that he gave. And he's pretty much condoning the indoctrination of kids through drag queens. And then we'll also talk about this bill coming out of Oklahoma. I thought it was kind of funny. I think this Republican lawmaker is just kind of trolling people. But this bill is actually going to require schools to call animal control on students who identify as furries. So that's pretty funny. All of that and more ahead on the Morning Buzz. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's so important. And we're going to be chatting a little bit about the weather too. And eventually I'll revisit, if you missed it, the Indigenous Specimen from the World Economic Forum. This woman, I think it was a woman, was blowing on people like at the World Economic Forum, which I thought was totally bizarre. Comment, let me know what you guys are doing for the weekend. And let me know if there's any stories out there you want me to cover. I'll cover them. Just throw it into the comments section or text me at 309-451-9299. I'm live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. You can see me there. You can also text me at 309-451-9299. We were talking a little bit about the blasphemous twat over at NBC Sports who jump cut. They edited out something that CJ Stroud said. CJ Strauss said that he loved Jesus Christ and he wanted to give glory and praise to my Lord Savior Jesus Christ. And people are upset with me because of course I'm talking about Jesus and they get all, seethy about it. And somebody texted in, great things happen to people who don't believe in Jesus too. Why is it always about Jesus? I think you're missing the point of the story here, pal. The point of the story is that NBC News was deceptive and they edited out what CJ Strauss said. And this is why people don't like the media. Okay, they're liars, and if they were talking about Pfizer or Biden 2024 or Planned Parenthood, they would have kept it in. But because he was talking about Jesus Christ, they wanted to cancel him. Much like you are trying to cancel me talking about this story. So there's something there. If people don't like the whole Jesus Christ, if they're not Christian or they're you're not very inclusive. You're not allowing CJ Stroud to express his religious freedom. I take great issue with that. Um, so before I took the break, I was going to tell you what the internet was very quick to point this out. People are upset, and a lot of people are upset. They said, y'all are frauds, NBC, for cutting the video like this. There's no logical reason to cut out the very first part of his response unless you hate God. Obviously, you do. Insane that you cut him out thanking Jesus. Genuinely absurd. You should be ashamed. You edited out the part just before where he gave praise to Jesus. This is why people hate the media right here. Stroud, he's going to be leading his Texans against the Baltimore Ravens this Saturday. And I love this story. I mean, because of the response. I love that people are not letting this go. I love that they're calling attention to it and they're calling NBC Sports a bunch of frauds because they are. They cut out his response because it wasn't about Pfizer, it wasn't about Hunter, or it wasn't about Joe Biden, and it wasn't about the vaccine. It wasn't about Planned Parenthood, so they had to cut it out. All right, I'm back in just a little bit. We're going to be talking about Rupaul. He's considered talented enough to win an Emmy, but he gave this Emmy speech, and he is, of course, defending drag queens and the indoctrination of children using drag queens. So I'm going to be talking about that here next, and then a bill brought forward by a Republican lawmaker out of Oklahoma, and he's taking a stand against one of the most pressing issues that face America. Come back after the break. Yeah, Ryan, you are onto something there, pal. If he held Satan, they probably would have made it go viral. Yeah, exactly. They probably would have cut that part out and shared it out, and they would have had it go viral. Yep. Litter boxes and food bowls. We're going to be talking about that bill that would require schools to call animal control on kids that identify as furries. Totally here for it. I get it. It's probably just a trolling bill and it probably won't go anywhere, but I think it's hilarious. And yeah, why don't we put litter boxes, food bowls? If we are going to condone this insanity, let's go all the way with it. I think you kind of have to uh, really go with the absurdity in order to get these people to realize how insane they are. All right, I'm back in just a little bit. Good morning. Grab your cup of coffee, settle in, and sit down at the breakfast table. Let's have a conversation. I've got to talk about Rupaul and his Emmy speech. Yes, the Emmys are still a thing. In other news, the Emmys are still a thing. We are going to be chatting about that, plus a bill from an Oklahoma Republican lawmaker. I think you guys are going to get a kick out of. So smash that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and share this out with your normie friends. It's Friday. It's cold out there, folks. Good morning. This is the Morning Buzz. I'm Kat Peterson. Thanks for joining me every morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's Kat Peterson 99. And it's cold. It's very cold. So wind chill values today between, -8, -13 could get down to like -15 with the wind chill. So the high is near 9 degrees. It's going to be blustery out there, and there's just some wind gusts. So be safe on the highways. Some blowing snow over the highways. Tonight, it's going to get down to a low of -2 degrees. That's without the wind chill. Wind chill values, we're looking at -19 degrees for the low. Whoa, that's cold. And, while most of us are snug in our beds, I want to thank some of McLean County's finest, some of Illinois' finest, who are working to keep the roads safe. I drove in today. The roads on 55 were pretty clear. They're super clear. It's the blowing snow that was the problem, but I can hear them right outside my studio right now. As these winter storms just continue to ravage the area, right? Do me a favor, help out the plow operators, and move as far right as you can if you're passing a plow. Do it safely, right? Move as far right as you feel safe doing. Don't tailgate a truck. Don't tailgate anybody. I've actually got a sticker on the back of my car. It says, "Do you follow Jesus this closely?" It's a bumper sticker. So that way, when anybody gets too close, they're reminded, hey, do you follow Jesus as closely as you're following me right now? But hey, remember, if you're behind a plow and you can't see the plow mirrors, most likely that operator cannot see you. So big thank you to the township, the village, the cities, the counties, all the snowplow operators for your sacrifices. So that way we can get to where we need to go and we can get there on time and safely. And a big thank you to God if He has the grace to allow you to get to work on time safely and on time. Blessed is this day. I'm so excited to get into today's stories. One I wanted to hit today was RuPaul's Emmy speech. Yes. You know, if you could think of the top 1,000 people who you would go to for parenting advice, I highly doubt RuPaul would make that list. He seems, to disagree as he used his Emmy acceptance speech to defend drag queen story time, and he wanted to give you parenting advice in this speech, and we're going to play it here. And I know what you're thinking because I'm thinking the same thing. I am shocked that the Emmys are still on the air. In other news, RuPaul, he's considered talented enough to win an Emmy, but I guess there's no better explanation for Hollywood than that. If RuPaul can get an Emmy, I mean, that's an explanation for Hollywood right there. That's all you need. RuPaul, he facilitates kids dressing in drag and performing provocatively, and he's normalized drag for kids. He won an Emmy and used the opportunity to endorse drag queen story time. The audience erupted in applause. It's not surprising. Hollywood is full of pedophiles. They support the sexualization and grooming of small children and of children. So let's take a listen here to the speech that RuPaul gave when he accepted his Emmy. Here we go.
If a drag queen wants to read you a story at a library, listen to her because knowledge is power. And if someone tries to restrict your access to power. They are trying to scare you. So listen to a drag queen. We love you. Thank you.
Okay, so hopefully you guys heard that. It's kind of quiet. I don't know why, but RuPaul, he gave an acceptance speech and he urged people to listen to a drag queen as he used his Emmy acceptance speech to defend performers reading in libraries. So the drag race host, he's 63 years old, by the way. I mean, I don't quite understand these people. You know, you're 63 years old, man. Why are you getting up there and dressing in drag and winning Emmys for drag performances? It's bizarro. Like, it's 3 years old. Maybe you should be sitting down and playing a Sudoku puzzle and drinking some coffee. Why are you out there trying to get kids to dress provocatively and dance in front of people? It's bizarre. But anyway, he won the Emmy for Outstanding Competition Program at Monday's ceremony, which was held at the Peacock Theater in Los Angeles. It's the sixth time that the RuPaul Drag Race has won some sort of accolade since 2018. In RuPaul, he used this speech to call out the backlash towards drag story time. Okay, now the drag supermodel, he declared, listen, if a drag queen wants to read you a story at a library, listen to her because knowledge is power. And if someone wants to restrict your access to power, they're trying to scare you. So listen to a drag queen. We love you. Thank you. That's what he said in his speech. No, 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 RuPaul. I will not be listening to a drag queen. Quite frankly, that's the last thing I'm going to be doing. What sort of knowledge does a drag queen have that RuPaul thinks gives kids power? Like, what? I would really love to see him try to elaborate on that one. What benefit is there for a grown man dressed in drag to read stories to children? What does that do for society? How does that benefit society? I've never seen a RuPaul show. I'm pretty sure they're not appropriate for children. You can teach kids to be kind to people without disrupting their innocence, RuPaul. You don't need a grown man in a provocative attire in a G string or whatever they wear to teach children to respect one another. Okay. We came this far without Drag Story Hour, and I think that we can keep society going without it. On top of all of that, this is going to confuse kids. Kids who are already malleable, kids are like sponges. They're going to get confused. RuPaul, I'm sorry, but one of the last things I'm going to condone is drag queen story time. I am not going to condone that. That is just weird. All right, I do want to switch gears up here. We're going to talk about the Republican lawmaker in Oklahoma. He's taking a stand against one of the most pressing issues we face in America, furries in schools. Yes, you heard me, furries in schools. So one of our top performing articles, this is just some inside baseball, uh, peeling the curtain back. One of our top performing articles that we've done here at Cities 92.9 uh, was when furries were spotted walking to, I believe, District 87. Now there was some furries at the cafeteria, and they were in there. Believe me, I mean, I talked to these kids. I'm a youth leader. I know that there's furries in your community. There's furry children attending school. They're allowed to dress in these costumes. It's wacko. The left, they're constantly dehumanizing themselves. Okay, they dehumanize themselves, but they just don't do that. They try to force the rest of society to join in on the insanity. And when we refuse, we're considered intolerant. But we've got one compassionate lawmaker here who has decided to condone their behavior. And then they still go off the walls. Okay. So they're forcing me to condone their behavior. Here we have a compassionate lawmaker who condones their behavior, accepts their behavior for what it is, and they're still nuts. They're going nuts about it. At least they did with this story. So they're big mad at the state lawmaker in Oklahoma. He proposed a bill that would make it so that students who purport to be an imaginary animal or animal species or engage in this furry behavior, that they cannot participate in school activities according to the state lawmaker and to the bill. He says, look, furries, kids who identify as furries in schools, they're not going to participate in school activities. And the bill goes as far as to say, hey, we're going to call animal control on these furries because they identify as an animal. So we're going to treat them like animals and we're going to call animal control on them. The bill would require parents or guardians to pick up the student from the school as well if they come dressed as an animal because hey, um, you know, animals in schools? No, we're not allowing that. But if parents are unable to pick up the student, the bill says animal control services shall be contacted to remove the student. People are going to call me insane for running this bill, said State Representative Humphrey. But he said, hell, I'd say they're insane. Okay, they're going to say he's insane for proposing this bill, but he goes, I'll flip the script and I'm going to say they're insane. Okay. They're the ones who are saying that they are animals. And at one point, headlines like this would be considered a joke, but this is actually real. About 15 years ago, if anybody identified as a furry, they would never admit it, right? That they would feel shame if the word got out about their deranged feelings. But now people are out there loud and proud, and they are saying they're furries. They're saying they're animals. Not even a decade ago, if a student were to tell a school counselor that they identified as an animal, the child would be sent to therapy. But now we're not very far off from people claiming furries are born in the wrong body. Okay, we're not far off from that. Although the bill is probably, this lawmaker who's trolling, I'm all here for it. I think more people need to do this. Legislators need to do this. If they are going to be insane, we need to meet that insanity with absurdity. And we need to show them how insane they really are. Um, and even though it's likely that this bill isn't going to be put forward um, and it's not going to come to fruition, it truly shows the insanities and the double standards of the left. Do liberals want us to condone these deranged behaviors or not? Here is this lawmaker. He's condoning this behavior. He says, okay, I will accept you as an animal, but you're going to be treated like an animal. This is what we get when society starts living by this love is love logic, okay? None of this ideology makes sense. That's why um, that's why we're reporting about this proposed furry law. That's why I'm reporting about this. If this was not a thing, this story would not exist. Okay, this is a thing. Kids go to school and they dress up as animals and they bark and they meow and they act like animals. Um, we are inching closer and closer to the point that society will one day have to affirm this nonsense. I mean, there's freaks around the world who have paid ridiculous amounts of money to condone these fantasies. And, I want to play this here for us. This is a pretty funny clip. It's of two dogs interacting. Okay, let's take a listen to it. And hopefully, you're watching YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble, and you can react to the video there. But let's take a listen here. Oh, you can see the two dogs. Okay, there's no sound. I thought this one had sound. Uh, but if you watch the news report on this, this is a border collie and an actual dog, and it looks real, this border collie, but the border collie is not an actual border collie. It's not a dog at all. This is actually a Japanese man who spent over $15,000 to look like that. He got into like this dog costume. It's deranged, it's insane, and it's wrong. This video gave me chills. His videos have given me chills. It's weird. He badly wants to be a dog. He went as far as to spend $15,000 on this costume. Furries are obviously a whole new mental illness that has been spreading in part because of the trans ideology, and we need to condemn it to no end. And I'm just hoping and I'm praying that it doesn't get to a point where we start furry affirming care, because I don't think we're too far off from children going into some sort of furry affirming care, and we somehow biologically manipulate humans into becoming animals. I don't know how they do it, but I don't think we're too far off from it. No, 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 no. All right. I do have to take a quick break. You're listening to the Morning Buzz, Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I'll be right back. Good morning. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in each and every day. We're going to be back in just about 10 seconds talking a little bit about. I'm really excited. This Democrat lawmaker, he proposed a bill to remove the Statue of Liberty. Yes, that's next. Wow, there's some inflation busting deals that we've got on cities99.com. Pick up a $20 gift card for just $10 to Crave Hot Dogs and Barbecue on Oakland Avenue in Bloomington, right across from State Farm. Okay, maybe you're driving into work today. Hopefully, you're staying safe. It's kind of cold out there and snowy, and there's a lot of blowy, patchy snow on the roads here. But this Crave Hot Dogs and Barbecue on Oakland Avenue in Bloomington, right across from State Farm, maybe today for lunch. But you got to try to score yourself a $20 gift card for just $10. That's the thing about steals and deals. It's pretty awesome. You get these things for like half off. Offering jumbo style hot dog creations. We've got Chicago style hot dogs, chili cheese dogs. We've got the Memphis dog. Check out their complete menu at iwantcrave.com. That's iwantcrave.com. They also have a self-pour wall. So pour yourself a beer and wash down your craveable meal. Wash down your chili cheese dog with a nice beer, a nice cool beer. So Crave hot dogs and barbecue. That's on Oakland Avenue in Bloomington. Go to our website and score yourself a $20 gift card for just $10 today. That's cities99.com. Now, before we took the break, I was telling you guys a little bit about the Republican lawmaker. He created this bill, and I think he's just trolling here, but I'm here for it. It's where, you would actually call the animal control services on furries in schools. Yes. So he said people are going to think I'm insane for running this bill, but hell, I'd say they're insane. The bill would require parents or guardians to pick up the student from the school if they're dressed as some sort of furry. The bill goes as far as to say animal control services shall be contacted to remove that student if they're engaging in this kind of anthropomorphic behavior. So this is commonly referred to as furries in school, anthropomorphic. It's weird, where they act like they're imaginary animals, and they truly believe they're animals. So this Republican lawmaker, he's condoning this behavior, and he's actually compassionate. He says, "Hey, I believe you. Sure, you're an animal, but if you're an animal like you say you are, we're going to treat you like an animal, and we're going to call animal control services to get you out of the school." So, love that bill. This bill is stupid. This is proposed by a Democrat freshman, Representative Max Frost, in Congress. So I do want to talk about this one. A freshman Democrat. He wants to take down the Statue of Liberty. Yes, and he proposed a bill to take the Statue of Liberty down in this painful attempt. He wants to own the Republicans. Okay. Now, this Republican lawmaker that I just talked about with this bill in Oklahoma, where he owns the liberals here, and he says, "Hey, I'm going to condone your behavior as a furry. We're going to treat you like animals. If you want to be an animal, we'll treat you like one." That is owning the libs. Now, this guy tries to own the Republicans, and it just epically fails. So he's a freshman Democrat. His name is Max Frost, and he tried to own the Republicans with this embarrassing attempt to try to prove a point to the GOP. But when your point lacks logic, here's the thing, pal. When your point lacks logic, you don't really have much to prove except your stupidity. Okay, so this is just truly a stupid bill that he proposed. Republicans, they want secure borders. Democrats, they want an open border. Frost has equated open borders with liberty. Yes. He is that asinine. He actually thinks that open borders means liberty. So let's take a listen to what he talks about here about the bill. We're going to play it here. He was proposing his bill here. Let's take a listen.
To my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, let's be honest with immigrants who deserve better than what you're offering them. Don't welcome immigrants if you plan to reject them. If you keep pushing your bigoted HR 2 bill, then also pass this bill. I've taken the liberty of drafting it for you. It removes the Statue of Liberty, our largest symbol that tells people to come here. This is who you are. removing the fabric of America. So I want to know which Republican who supports and voted for H.R. 2 will introduce this bill. To my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, let's be honest.
What? This guy is so insane. Okay, so according to the New York Post, the House Oversight and Accountability Committee hearing on immigration discussed H.R. 2, which is the House GOP's Secure the Border Act. Okay, Secure the Border Act. It's a comprehensive border security and immigration bill passed back in May. Okay, the bill would restrict the asylum process for people crossing the border, and it would require that we start up the construction of the border wall again. Okay, that's this bill, H.R. 2. Now, really, when I talk about the restriction of the asylum process, really, it's just making sure that we follow the definition of asylum. So there is an international law that says, hey, this is what asylum seekers are. So when you call them asylum seekers, you have to be accurate. Asylum seekers, they fit a very specific definition. So that definition is you flee a country that's either war torn or persecuting you. Maybe you're a Christian and they're persecuting you. Maybe, for example, in Germany, they don't allow you to homeschool. And there was this case where these migrants came over, asylum seekers, because they fit the definition, because the German government kept grabbing their kids and forcing them to go to school. Okay, so they were fleeing persecution. They were fleeing really a tyrannical government over there because they don't allow you to homeschool. So they fled to the United States, and they fled to the United States first. An asylum seeker, you have to seek asylum in the first country that is safe. Okay, a lot of these illegal immigrants, they are not asylum seekers. They're going to places like Spain first, and then they are shipped out to Mexico, and then from Mexico they go to the United States. So they've been in 2 safe countries so far. Okay, and they do not fit the mold or the definition of an asylum seeker. So really what this bill does, it just, we have to restrict the asylum process and keep the asylum process to its and hold the asylum process to its definition, asylum. We're not going to give asylum to somebody who's been to 7 different countries where they could have sought asylum there, or where they're not fleeing religious persecution or a tyrannical government. Okay. So the freshman congressman here, the Democrat, was one of many Democrats who attacked the bill, H.R. 2, though he also produced a mock bill to remove the Statue of Liberty for Republicans to also pass. Okay, so he produces this mock bill. It's like a bill to kind of own Republicans. And he goes, my colleagues from the other side of the aisle, let's be honest with immigrants who deserve better than what you're offering them. Yeah, I say let's be honest with the immigrants. You're better off in your own country. Fix your community, grow where you're planted, stay where you're at. We have nothing to offer you here in the United States because we have zero, 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 zero money. We're like, what is it, $33 trillion in debt, man. Stay in your country. You're not going to find free stuff here. Okay. Don't. And then the Democrat goes on and he goes, don't welcome immigrants if you plan to reject them. If you keep pushing your bigoted H.R. 2 bill, then I also want to pass this bill. I've taken the liberty of drafting it up for you. This is what Max Frost says, the Democrat lawmaker. He's holding up the draft and he says, it removes the Statue of Liberty, our largest symbol that tells people to come here. Many Democrats are so stupid, it's painful. He's one of these people. Okay. He's one of these people that are so stupid, it pains me. The Statue of Liberty is a representation of American ideals like equality and democracy. So whatever he's getting at, he's not getting there. Okay. Illegals don't even care enough to respect our laws. Okay. Many people cross that border because they feel entitled to free things or they want free things. Okay. It's not about liberty. That's the complete opposite of what America stands for. Liberty does not mean you're entitled to break laws. But Frost is so incredibly stupid, he's equating liberty with open borders. I mean, the ignorance and confidence this man has is baffling to me. Lady Liberty was the first thing that immigrants saw when approaching Ellis Island. But the important factor that Frost seems to miss here, this Democrat lawmaker seems to miss, is that They were legal immigrants who came here to live the American dream, not people crossing the border feeling as if they're entitled to the fruits of our labor, to our tax dollars. Okay, they feel entitled to the fruits of our tax dollar, our labor. And the amount of embarrassment here for this guy that I feel for him, I mean, this is traumatic for me to see how embarrassing this guy is. Illegal immigration is the exact opposite of everything Lady Liberty represents. But we know Democrats don't like facts because those things kind of get in the way. We're back here in just a little bit. Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. It's Friday. Come back after the break. Sugar Mama Bakery is more than just gourmet cupcakes, pies, cakes, Big Mamas. These are these like gooey oatmeal cookie sandwiches. They're so good. They also serve all kinds of cinnamon rolls. Pick up a $25 gift card today at half off before they're gone. Head to cities929.com. There's this big Steals and Deals logo. Hit that, and then you can get your $25 gift card for half off to Sugar Mama Bakery, where they're more than just gourmet cupcakes. They've got the pies and the cakes and these Big Mamas. It's this gooey oatmeal cookie sandwich. Oh, they're just to die for. All right. I do want to chat a little bit about um I want to chat a little bit about the Elon Musk having a field day with this indigenous specimen from the World Economic Forum. Uh, okay, so I'm not sure who this specimen is, but she was at the World Economic Forum doing some sort of spirit dance, some sort of rain dance. I'm going to get to that. Plus, I do want to talk about NBC Sports. They removed the Texans quarterback CJ Stroud praising Jesus, and the internet noticed, and people are upset about this. They said, this is why people hate the media because they're so deceptive. We're going to get to all of this here in just a little bit, but first, I do want to say winter storms, they continue to ravage the area. Be safe out there. Plow operators, say thank you to a plow operator today. Move as far right as possible, as far right as you feel safe doing. Do not tailgate a plow truck. And if you can't see the plow mirrors, most likely the operator can't see you. So again, thank you to all of our city, township, our state snowplow operators for your sacrifices. I was warm and cozy in my bed while they were doing the roads this morning. So they they made it to where I could get here on time and safely. And a big thank you to God because God allowed me to come here safely and on time and to talk with you about the news of the day. So find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. Let's start with the Davos check-in. I like to check in with Davos. Uh, since the World Economic Forum, this gathering has been taking place, and Elon has already said what we've been all thinking. Okay, so right now on Twitter, on the Twitter sphere, there is this video circulating on social media, and it's this woman. She's dressed in Indian attire, and I mean Pocahontas Indian, not 7-Eleven Indian. Hello, welcome to 7-Eleven. Big go cup, not that Indian. I'm talking Pocahontas, or as Elon would say, Elizabeth Warren Indian. He actually said that on Twitter. So this is a clip, and I don't know what she's doing here, folks. This World Economic Forum Indigenous Specimen. I don't know if it's a woman. I think it's a woman, but I think she's doing some sort of rain dance. Let's take a listen to
Ai,
what
no
that's
cão
all about. Here
acá,
we go.
na anuri, no yuyuá, na wahon shinan bu panke tu shinan shaval aqui, shinan mu kikirani, tsan shavai kirani, tsan mu kikirani. Awa ma wanana, awa ma wanana. No ma wono wai sharai.
Mm, that was weird. Like Elon said on Twitter, he says, "I didn't know Elizabeth Warren was at Davos." Thank you, Elon. He said what we were all thinking. Pretty hard for me to watch. Just imagining that woman in my makes me wanna scream. So she goes around and she starts everybody's faces. What exactly does blowing on someone like that do? What's happening at the World Economic Forum? Well, it's probably I mean, it's probably because that's how much respect they have for all of us, okay, which is no respect at all. This is ridiculous, and these unelected overlords, they wanna rule every single aspect of your life, of your entire life, right down to what kind of food you eat. They want you to eat crickets, they want you to, get rid of your gas stove, they want you to live in a closet, and they have an opinion about anything and everything, but the thing is, no one elected you. No one asked you. No one likes you. Despite there being this global disgust, everybody hates the World Economic Forum. I can't find one person who's like, "Yeah, I'm pro economic World Economic Forum." Where? Who are you? And there's this global disgust for these self-appointed tyrants, and, despite that, that won't get in the way of them trying to control every single tiniest detail of our lives. These narcissistic sociopaths, they don't care what you and I have to say about it. They're gonna try to control you, and Elon Musk, he puts it very beautifully on X. He says, "The policies that seem to emerge from this gathering don't seem to make for an exciting future." Yeah, well, they don't. These policies suck, and I'm sorry, but you wanting me to live in a closet and eat crickets does not seem like an exciting future, and I really want no part of that. I couldn't have said it better myself, Elon Musk. According to the World Economic Forum, this year's annual meeting launched the Indigenous Peoples Knowledge and Leadership Network. Okay, well, what's that gap? Well, indigenous leaders from around the world, they're attending the World Economic Forum's 2024 annual meeting in Davos, Switzerland, to share their unique perspectives in charting a way forward. From speaking on the balance of nature and economies to reconciling cutting edge technologies with indigenous knowledge, this year's intergenerational cohort of indigenous leaders will join a range of sessions reflecting the perspectives of longstanding and next generation leadership. So that's according to the World Economic Forum. So let me sum this up for us. They want us back in caves. They want us to live without everything that has advanced society thus far. What sort of cutting edge technology do indigenous leaders have? What have they brought to the table when it comes to cutting edge technology? What economy has thrived under indigenous knowledge? And what sort of information will the Indigenous Peoples Knowledge and Leadership Network have for the rest of the Western world? And what kind of information do they have that we don't already have? Okay. Can Indigenous knowledge benefit the West? No, absolutely not. It cannot do anything for us but destroy our thriving economies. And I'm not trying to insult a group of vague people, like a vague group of people. I'm not trying to do that, indigenous people. What I am saying is that the West has grown and has advanced more than any other group of people, and it had nothing to do with this vague ancient knowledge of the indigenous people, okay? Look at it's on my YouTube channel. It's the true story of Thanksgiving. I thank God for these pilgrims. I thank God for their bravery to come on over to the on the Mayflower to flee their religious persecution in England. I thank God for them because without them, we would not be advanced. We would still be cutting people's hearts out and praying for rain, and holding them up the sky and praying for rain because that's what happened in the 1500s with these indigenous people. And what's infuriating about all of this is that this is forced cultural imperialism. And for the record, to imply that a significant amount of people with indigenous blood still live like they did in the 1500s is insulting. Okay, indigenous people with indigenous blood, they don't live like they did in the 1500s. Okay, and the point is that indigenous knowledge is just this long-winded way of saying tradition. And I don't have any problem with tradition if that tradition has valid evidence behind it that suggests that it benefits society in some sort of way. I'm all for that. If the tradition has evidence that it benefits society, okay. But for it, if there's a certain group of people that have that tradition, just because it's a certain group of people that have that tradition does not mean it's valid. It has to prove to work and benefit society. This is just another way of saying that they hate the West and that the Western culture is bad, and the World Economic Forum is out there and they're promoting that sort of thing. They are all saying the West is bad. So I'm gonna be back next to Buzz. Text me at 309-451-9. Yeah, you're so right. Henry, he's texting in this morning. He goes, Kat, I respect the indigenous people, but they got as far as the Stone Age. I agree with you on that one, Kat. Yeah, I'm talking about the World Economic Forum woman. She was dancing, doing some sort of spirit dance, and it was World Economic Forum, like indigenous knowledge and power network that they had visit at the World Economic Forum. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to send us back into the Stone Age. And yeah, I mean, what has the indigenous ancient person done to advance society? Really nothing. This was just a move to say the West is bad. Indigenous knowledge is just a long winded way of saying tradition. And I have no issue with tradition if there's evidence that it benefits society in some sort of way. But just because a certain group of people has a tradition, that doesn't mean it's valid. It doesn't mean that's what we should be doing. And they're trying to uh, throw us back into some sort of indigenous people's way of life. And I'm just not here for it. Okay. I'm just saying the West has grown and it has advanced more than any other group of people. And it had nothing to do with this ancient knowledge that they want us to learn from. What sort of cutting edge technology have the indigenous leaders brought to the table? They want to send us back to the caves. They want us to live without everything that has advanced society thus far. And thank you, Henry, for texting in. You can always text in at 309 451 9299. Very excited this morning because I have a special guest, Donald Ray Raines. He's running in the 105th State House District. He's going to be your next state representative. In the 105th, there is an incumbent, Dennis Tipsword. Wanted to have Don on today to talk about the immigration issue because I was thinking to myself, I was like, okay, non-citizens, we'll call them non-citizens. We'll play with the word games for right now, Don. Non-citizens are allowed to have badges and guns now because Dennis Tipsword, he sponsored legislation that makes that possible. So cops with the assault weapons ban, cops are actually exempt from abiding by that law because they're allowed to have these AR-15s. That's actually what State Representative Dan Calkins argued before the Illinois Supreme Court. Hey, that's not equal protection under the law because cops are exempt from this law. So I got to thinking, and I was like, wait a second, non-citizens get an AR-15, but I can't. So they've got way more rights than I do. They've got Second Amendment rights, and I don't have them in the state of Illinois anymore because Dennis Tipsword, right?
Yeah, yeah. If they're in one of those exempted groups, like police officers or retired correctional officers and such like that. Yeah, um, it's I seen where California is doing a special provision for the LEPD. I think they're getting their graduating class came through for non-citizens already, and they're doing a special provision within their department so that they can have their weapons at home.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
So
that could be coming here to the state of Illinois.
yeah,
huh?
well, yeah, I think they did the non-citizens in California, I think early last year, and I guess we just copied them. I
Mm.
don't know. So, but yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. You know, they come across as asylum seekers. A lot of people make the argument, well, the illegals can't have weapons. Well, we're not talking about illegals. We're talking about asylum seekers and people waiting for their court dates. And their court dates in Illinois is like 2,000 days. And it used to be a 90-day waiting period before you get like a green card for an asylum seeker.
Mm.
But now there's not a waiting period. So, these people can get green cards, they're getting driver's licenses or state IDs and be able to have jobs and positions here. And what happens if that, it's like 75% of the asylum seekers are approved to stay here, but I don't know how valid that is, those 75% to have them here, right?
Mhm.
You need to come through the proper way, and a lot of them are just coming through for other reasons, for economy and, making money and stuff like that. But the highest percentage in 2019 is the last year that they have on record that you can actually see all the data. And in 2019, 16% of those were Chinese nationalists. That was the largest group. Venezuelans were the second largest, which was about half of that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then all the rest of the groups went down from there.
Huh.
So if you're bringing over Chinese nationalists, and we're worried about people spying over here. We're worried about what they're going to do to our infrastructure to our grid, electrical grid. We don't know what's going to happen with these folks, right? And it's come through the right way, stopping at the border. I like what Texas is doing now, sending in the National Guard or national, the state, the guard, the national, National Guard to
Mhm.
stop them. And then Arizona, I think, starting it now as well, and they're going to send theirs to the border.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wowza. Yeah,
So,
well, and I don't know what we're going to do as an inland state, because now we've received over 30,000 illegal immigrants to the city of Chicago, and now we're starting to feel the effects, obviously, downstate. Recently, McLean County, which is going to be in your district, we had a resolution. Chuck Erickson, he proposed this resolution where it said, hey, let's not use taxpayer funds,
mhm.
funded services to provide either housing, food, or anything like that to these individuals. We need to not do that. So,
Were
um,
the, were these for illegal aliens, or were these for the asylum seekers? And
yeah,
there's a
so
difference, and that's where you got to be careful. If you're doing legislation to stop illegals is one thing,
mhm,
but if is it stopping the people that the federal government approved to be here while they wait for the court date,
yeah,
which are the asylum seekers and
which is
refugees?
this is against our immigration laws. So the resolution that he brought forward, Chuck Erickson, it kind of goes into hey, the federal government isn't implementing or isn't enforcing the current immigration laws that we have on the books,
Hmm.
and we need to address the migrants. They refer to in the resolution, the terminology is migrants.
Okay.
So I think that the resolution, from what the way I understand it, it addresses those who were approved by the federal government to be here as non-citizens,
Hmm.
because this is just, I mean, they're not really non-citizens. They are illegal because the federal government is acting in a way that is to a detriment of
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
it's
they're
an
aiding.
invasion.
Yeah.
It's an invasion, and this country's going to fall apart if we don't. If this continues, I think we're spending so much money on them. We got homeless, we got veterans, we're in debt,
Mhm.
and we're going to spend money on people who are breaking the law to come to this country on intentions other than what they say they're here for.
Yeah, well, I've actually heard from a couple of folks that they took money from different budget line items. So, line items that took money and gave it to veterans, and line items that took money and gave it to disabled kids in the state of Illinois. And they took money from those budget line items and they put it towards illegal immigrants, migrants, non citizens, whatever. Um,
Yeah, it's like a part of the government supporting other than the citizens of this country.
mhm.
It's terrible. Why are we supporting? Be loyal. It's to me. It's like treason. When you're out there and you're supporting people who have broken the law to get in this country and stating other than their true intentions and coming here, and you don't know what their in results going to be.
Mhm.
And you're taking money from the innocent people, from people who need it, who are citizens, and giving it to non-citizens and illegals,
Yeah, well,
to
they've
be
got
here.
more rights. I mean, if I were to, go to Mexico and then enter the country, I
Yeah,
mean, I am a US citizen, but I mean, it's almost like I'd get more health care and more rights
yeah,
because here in the state of Illinois, I can't own an AR-15 because of this new assault weapons ban because it applies to me. But if I was a non-citizen who became a police officer under this,
yeah,
new law that was proposed by Dennis Tipsford, I would be able to have an AR-15 and possibly in just a short year or so because, California has already done this. They're a
yeah,
year into it.
yeah.
Possibly I'll get to keep it at my house, the weapon. So it's just like, wait a second. We are, everything is so backwards. And so you're running
Mhm.
in that district. Are people concerned about the illegal immigration issue? Because I get gaslit all the time, and people are like, "Cat, that's not actually happening. There's no migrant buses being shipped here,
And
and
that's
it's all the Chicago problem."
yeah. It seems that people think it's unreal, but no, it's a real problem, and your money's getting your tax money or your tax debt's getting spent for it,
Mhm.
right? And someone's gonna have to pay that bill eventually in the state. We got so many different pieces of debt, like for the retirement system that we're hundreds of billions of dollars into, right? In debt that we haven't given money back to. Yeah, it's real and it's here, and it hasn't bled over to us yet. Like Chicago politicians call the rest of the state, they call it the desert area. This gets me.
Oh,
But
I know, and I
it's
hate it when people refer to, Central Illinois, they'll say downstate counties or
yeah,
downstate Illinois. It's like, what? Downstate Illinois doesn't matter, and
yeah.
they're like, oh, it just doesn't even matter. It's downstate.
And this is the place to live because we got communities, we have people here that are that that work together and get along together. So I mean, it's a good community down here. District 105 is great.
Mhm.
It's a farming community, and you got people who work and and try to do well for their families.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Well, and I want to bring up Senator Sally Turner's bill because it deals with what we're talking about, the 105th. It's private land, public land. They've got this bill out there where they say, hey, non citizens
hmm
who buy up farmland randomly,
hmm
that's not something you're supposed to do. And we're looking at fines of about I think it was $15,000 and possibly 2 years jail time if you are of a foreign party. So she describes it in her bill, not just non-citizens, but non-citizens like a Chinese
yeah,
nationalist, somebody
yeah.
who is an enemy of the United States, and
Any
that's
group that's an enemy, of the United States, whether it's the Chinese Communist Party is a group, and that's generally what everything's bought through them. So they come over here and they buy something, might be under some company, but they're run by the Chinese, Communist Party, and but it's it also says in that law, in that bill that she has, it also says they got 2 years if they're here and they move and leave. If they already own property here, then they have 2 years to sell it.
mm.
So they got to sell the property and all if they're
Oh, so it addresses people who have land right now.
yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I believe so. That's what I believe that's what it says. What's your thoughts on that passing though?
I don't know. And
We got so many Democrats.
I talked
You
with
know,
Sally Turner yesterday, and she told me that she thinks that, or that she knows that Democrats will get behind it. So I'm waiting for her press release. She said that
oh
she was going to
wow,
drop some names of Democrats that will actually get behind it, and there are 24 other states that have adopted something similar to Sally's bill.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm hoping that we we're smart about it.
yeah.
Right?
When my dad died, we had to sell. He had 80 acres we owned that
Mm.
he owned, and we had to sell it. And I said that's not going to go to any foreign people. It's not going to go to an LLC. I know there's some LLCs are legit and they do it for reasons, but that's not going to someplace out of Chicago. And I fought and fought and fought that. I was executor of the will, so
Mhm.
I said, there's 6 kids, but I said that's gonna get sold to someone local,
Mhm.
and it ended out getting sold to the farmer and his son. One lives a half mile from the property, the other one lives adjacent to the property. It ended up getting sold to them rather than somebody from Chicago. We didn't sell it for more money or see what we could get or have some foreign country buy it. Yeah, I
Mhm.
was not allowing that.
Yeah,
So
well, and
yeah,
here's the reason why, and good for you because here's the reason why it matters. Farming land that we farm on here in Central Illinois, we feed the world. And if they can buy up that land and use it for who knows what, solar industrial plants,
mhm.
windmills, and they eat up that land and we can't use it to farm on anymore, then we're in deep,
Yeah,
deep, deep,
yeah. You
deep
got the
trouble.
like you said, the solar panels and such. But then you got Bill Gates buying up a lot of land,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure what his intentions are yet for that.
Yeah, is he going to farm it? Because we need food, right?
Yeah,
I mean, Illinois feeds the world. And I mean, quite frankly, it's like, are they attacking? Because anybody who's studied history, if you want to take over a nation or if you want to uh, be a fascist or a dictator, the first thing that's got to go is the food supply. You've got to control that food supply. And once you control the food supply,
yeah,
then you control the people
yeah,
because it only takes a day or so for people, I mean, to start to lose their minds without food. Um, and yeah, I think a lot of people are concerned about that here in Central Illinois. I'm excited for the bill. I'm excited to see what you do in
hmm
Springfield. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to be visiting with Donald Ray Reeds. There's so much I want to get to today,
okay,
even including this District 87 I want to bring this up because people might see their taxes go up because they've purchased this building, this extra building. And Dennis Tipsworth actually was with Dave Kaler on that, the Democrat, where he took off or exempted District 87 from having to put on a referendum
Yes.
to ask the people, hey, is it okay if we build or buy this building because that's going to raise your taxes? But they made it to where you don't have to ask the people anymore. It's kind of like taxation without representation.
Well, it was like big government getting involved into small government affairs.
Hmm.
You had the state coming in doing a small government affair, and so they didn't have to go to the people for a referendum.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, that's disturbing. We're back next. Woo! Hey, good morning. This is the Morning Buzz. I appreciate you tuning in each and every morning. Brr, it's cold out there. Donald Ray Reens, he's joining me here in studio. He's running in the 105th State House District, your next state representative. What was your drive in like today? Is it kind of blowy snow?
It was okay. It was okay. We came down 39, and 39 the passing lane was pretty icy.
Mm,
Yeah, you didn't really want to pass anybody. And 116 is the other road, and it was snowed over kind of pretty good. And our back roads were okay because they were north south roads.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had the complete opposite problem. I had an issue getting out of the city and getting into the city because the city roads sucked. So I was getting out of, Lincoln and then getting into Bloomington, and the Bloomington roads, Veterans Parkway, it was really
Yeah,
bad this
it's
morning.
it's not good down here in town. It's not as good.
Yeah.
And I got up at 5 this morning, a little before 5, to snow blow our 500-foot lane, and because I have kids getting out to go to work and go to school and every place else,
Mm.
so I had to get up early and do all that.
Aw,
So
well, you're a good dad.
it was cold.
Good
It
dad.
was cold out there.
Yep, I remember when I was living at home, and my dad, and he would go out and he'd scrape the window for me. I
Mhm.
mean, that is love. If you go out and you scrape the window for somebody, whether that be your wife or your kids, you truly love that person.
Well,
That's a love
that can
language.
spoil them too.
Yeah.
So, I
Oh,
let
now I'm spoiled.
she's here. I let my wife do the scraping. That way I don't want to spoil her or anything. So,
I don't want to spoil her. Teresa's in studio as well. We're talking all things state rep race in the 105th. And before we took the break, we were talking about illegal immigration and how non-citizens, this could be somebody on DACA. There was this guy actually who was on DACA here in Springfield, Gabriel Calixto. I bring him up all the time. He's on the run. I don't think anybody's apprehended this guy, but he allegedly stabbed the Springfield girl, and he stabbed her multiple times, killed her, allegedly. And before that, he kidnapped a different girl, and he was serving in an IDOC, an Illinois Department of Corrections, and he was here on DACA, and he overstayed his DACA, so he was here illegally, and he managed to not only stab Emma Schaefer to death, allegedly, but also get a picture with Dick Durbin. Isn't that sweet?
yeah, he's one of the worst senators. I'm gonna say that right on the radio. He's one of the worst senators I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He's just terrible.
I mean, wow. I mean, he has yet to come out and talk about that picture. I mean, he's pictured with a murderer. I mean, that's an alleged stabber who's on the run, and a legal alien. So I mean, I don't know, Dick. You gotta come on air and explain yourself. Hopefully, maybe
Yeah,
one day.
yeah.
But I wanted to talk about the non-citizens having guns,
Okay.
and I wanted to talk about this registering your assault weapons, the ban on assault weapons. What are you going to do in Springfield to protect the Second Amendment right? Is there something that you can do to fix this, or how do we fix this with the assault weapons?
I think you have to go through the courts right now. I mean, we're in the super minority, so the Democrats aren't going to bend on it, and you can try to have force them to bend or talk to them and try to negotiate something, for the Second Amendment. But it should go through the courts and it should win because they can't take away that right from us to have those weapons.
Mhm.
It's I'm on DeVore's lawsuit. I'm a plaintiff on his lawsuit, and I was in the first round of getting on his lawsuit to help fight this. But DeVore's lawsuit had two pieces. He had the one piece for the guns, which is what Calkins copied and sent through,
Mhm.
but he also had the part about how they passed the bill. With the shell bills and the 3 o'clock in the morning bill, votes and all that. The procedural issues that there were, and that was probably I hate to say it's probably as important because Second Amendment is as important as it gets. You can't have a First Amendment unless you got a Second Amendment,
Mhm.
right? I mean, it's not one that's going to hold water,
Yeah,
right?
well, I say
Yeah.
this all the time. The Second Amendment isn't for duck hunting.
No, it's for the to fight it to defend yourself or go up against a suppressive government. That's what the Second Amendment's for. And the procedural issues was as big of an issue because it's the unconstitutional way that they're passing laws in Springfield,
Mhm.
and that needs to stop. And since Calkins went to the Illinois Supreme Court and got thrown out,
Mhm.
they went around and said, well, you got the same wording in your one part, in divorce lawsuit, so we're
Mhm.
going to throw yours out too. And the
Mm.
Supreme Court didn't throw it out, but the lower court did under that assumption.
Mm.
And it's DeVore was doing discoveries. He was working on all the issues, taking the time to get it done right, so he had a chance to win. And if he only won the procedural issues, that would be great.
Yeah. The
So-
one thing I will say is the Illinois Supreme Court, I mean, you could take anything up to that Illinois Supreme Court. I don't think you'll win because you've got
Oh.
these two justices who are on that court
Yep.
and they received millions of dollars.
It was between $500,000 and $1 million each. Yeah.
Yeah.
From Pritzker.
Yeah, from Pritzker. Yeah.
And the thing there is the one that voted against, voted against the bill,
Mhm.
to throw it out, the four throwing it out
Mhm.
was because I understand, wasn't it? Because it wasn't strong enough, and it should have been worse, and she
Yeah.
should have been thrown.
Yeah, I think it
so-
was Mary Kay O'Brien.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was the Illinois Supreme Court justice who, the reason why she threw it out was because it didn't go far enough.
Yes.
She wanted the cops
Yeah.
to not have the AR-15s as well.
Hmm.
She said, "Hey, I don't want the cops to have the AR-15s as well, and it needs to go further, the
Yeah.
assault weapons
So
ban."
people think, oh, at least you got one. No, that one's way on the other side. You're never gonna get her
Yeah.
to come over. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
she was. It's so wild that this was allowed. The ethics here. There's an ethic. So yeah, I agree. Like the only place that you can truly fight this out is in the courts. But the courts only take it so far because you've got an ethics issue on the court. I mean, here in Illinois, that is unacceptable to continue to hear a case in which you received money, a large sum of
Yeah.
money from the defendant.
Yeah.
That's
That's something wrong. And they went to the Supreme Court, and they decided not to hear that. Was that correct?
Yes.
So-
And well, I have my speculations, right? The US Supreme Court, maybe they didn't want to hear it because it deals with ethics.
Yeah.
There was right? I
Yeah.
know that sounds terrible, but everybody's got some demons in their closet. And I think that the US Supreme Court maybe didn't want to hear the Illinois Supreme Court case because they were like, uh-oh. Because they appealed it, right? This was James
Mhm.
Hawkins's case, and
Yeah.
he argued that, hey, they heard the case and they got money from the defendants, and that's wrong. And let's appeal this up to the U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court, they got close to taking it, but they didn't take it. And I have my speculations. Maybe it's because it deals with ethics. And
And I would think that'd be one of the important things that they would want to hear it for.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
So yeah.
We have an ethical problem, an ethics problem in the state of Illinois. We're going to address that here on the other side. The Morning Buzz. Donald Rainz is running in the 105th district. Real quick, Don, before we cut to break, can you tell us where we can find out more about your campaign and about your 105th state race?
Okay, I'm on Facebook, and then I got different sites out there. Donald Ray Rains for 105th on Facebook, or Don Rains out there. And you can go to www.rients.net, Reins.net, and that's my website out there. And contact me.
Okay.
Send me emails. Yeah, I get my phone number's in the phone book. call me if I don't care.
Uh-huh.
I'll start getting all these funny phone calls now. But
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
but that's fine.
Calling you a bigot and everything because you're against illegal immigration.
Well, yeah, that's what you got to be able. You got to have thick skin when you run for politics.
Mhm.
So yeah.
We'll be back next. This is the Morning Buzz on Cities 92.9. Woohoo! Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. We were just talking. I can't even vote for Don Raince this time because I've got to register in Logan County because I've moved recently and I used to be in Normal. And Dennis Tipsword has been my representative for quite some time for this past year or so. 2 years. Has he been? Yeah.
Year and a half.
Year and a half.
Has it been 2? That's just a little over a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's January 10th or whatever last year.
Yeah, and I've got him best pals with Sharon Chung and Dave Kaler. He's voting on all kinds of bills with and working with Dave Kaler, a Democrat, on bills, which he doesn't even need. That's what really peeves me off about this, Don, is the Democrat, like, he doesn't need, the Democrats don't need his help.
No.
But he's helping them. They don't need it.
Yeah.
But he's doing it anyway. So we're talking about this bill, Donald Rain tonight, and I'll let you describe it. The bill in regards to District 87 purchasing a new building.
Mhm.
So describe that bill for me. What did Dennis support?
Well, that's an SB 2323, and basically what it allows is the school district not to have to go through a referendum to either, and they were requesting to build or buy, build new or buy. It was an option for them, and they wouldn't have to go through a referendum to do it. They did get to give you public, a couple of public events where they would talk about it and people could speak. And we went to one. Me and a friend went to one of those, and there wasn't nobody there really talking about it.
Mm.
But
Probably
yeah,
because they're not publicized like a lot.
it was a school board meeting and all. So
Oh, it was a school board meeting.
yeah,
Okay.
school board in '87. So, but yeah, it's large government getting in the way of small government. They should have left it alone. We have laws in place already on how to handle buying a new building or building a new building or buying a used building,
Hmm.
right? We have laws in place already, and those laws are there for the betterment of the people, and this wasn't, to me, wasn't the betterment of the people to not go through referendum.
Hmm.
So what the bill does is, they buy a building, takes that building out of the tax bracket for whatever company will
Yeah,
own it.
because that
Yeah.
building has to pay property taxes,
Yes.
right?
And pay property taxes, and then they got to maintain that building ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's costs that the school will incur, and there's loss of tax revenue that occurs. And they did not go. You had large government. To me, is the big problem. You had bigger government allowing small government, getting in the way of the people's rights in the small government. To me, you should work the government from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
Your townships, your villages, your cities, all should be in control of their area without interference from the state. Just like the state shouldn't be interfered from the federal government except for what's allowed in the Constitution. And that's what the Constitution is. It's not to disallow people rights. It's to hold back what the government can do. Right? That's what the Constitution's for in this country.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
Hold back what the government can do. And
Yeah.
here's the sentiment. So here you have Dennis Tipsword, and he's working with Dave Kaler on this bill, and they're taking big government and they're pretty much putting their thumb
Yeah.
on small government. And that's socialism.
Yeah.
And here's what Dave Kaler said, and I'll never forget it, because what you're saying is the exact opposite. And I'm sorry, but if Dennis Tipsword wants to align himself with people like this and I would not sponsor anything with this guy after saying this. So when I asked him, I said, hey, because he did something similar with SB 2447, which was the McLean County Bloomington Normal Airport Authority.
Yeah.
It expands the tax base, and you're not supposed to do that without bringing it to referendum. There was a law there, and he took away the law that said that you have to bring it to referendum, and they expanded this tax base. So you've got people in these rural counties who've never even heard of the Bloomington Normal Airport, and they're paying a bunch of taxes for the airport, the Bloomington Normal Airport. And I asked him, so why do you think that the law existed where the referendum was needed?
Okay.
Why do you think that law was there? And he goes, well, I'm modeling my bill after what we did in Peoria County many years ago, where the tax base is only a small portion of the area that the airport serves, in order to really get a fair system of having all the community help to pay for these services to expand it. So he's trying to say it's about fairness. But then here's the crazy part. He goes, "We're elected by constituents to make decisions like this." So he pretty much told me to my face that I got voted in. Sorry. Like,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
And
Like,
then he's assuming that they give him the free reign to do what he thinks best,
yes.
rather than what's best for the people and what the
Yes.
people are wanting.
Yes.
You know, I'm there. I'm running the 105th to give the people what they want, right? You know, there's a couple exceptions. You know, I'm right to life. You know, and I believe life starts at conception. And you know, if 100% of District 105 wants a 10% tax raise, okay, I'll do that for you. If I'll go down there and give 10% tax raises if 100% of you guys want to do that.
Mhm.
But something like in the right for life, I wouldn't. You know, I have morality
Mhm. Yeah.
issue with that one because of my Christian background and all. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I love it. You're saying, "No, I am a representative of the
Yes.
people." But to
Yes.
hear these words come out of Dave Kaler's mouth and to have Dennis Tipsword align himself with this individual,
Mhm.
we are elected by constituents to make decisions like this. I make the decision. You don't.
Mhm.
That's creepy and it's odd. We've got to take a quick break, but we're going to
Okay.
come back. It's the last segment. Cities 92.9. Text me at 309-451-9299. hey, this is the Morning Buzz. And Donald Reigns, he's in studio this morning, and he said something that I just was like, yeah, something has gone terribly wrong where government thinks that they are the boss of you, and really it's the opposite, right?
That's correct. I mean, we should humbly serve, and you are our boss. The citizens, the voters, are our boss, and we need to do what they want done. We need to talk to them. They need access to us. We shouldn't be in this high castle or something. It's not like the movie, but like being in this high castle where nobody has access to you unless they want you to.
Mhm,
That's ridiculous.
mhm,
you know. And yeah, I mean, people should have access to you, be able to tell you what their concerns or problems are, and you'd be able to vote accordingly or have bills done accordingly,
mhm,
and they pay our bill, as a state rep, they will pay our bill.
mhm.
We're not their boss, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and state representatives, and senators, people in
Mhm.
Springfield, they get a healthy salary. I think it actually, they gave themselves a
Yeah, I
raise.
don't even know what it is anymore. It was like 69,000 before, and actually, if I would got this position, I would retire from the place I work, and I'd actually be losing money even with the retirement I get from the place I work. I'd had less money coming in than I'm making.
Mhm,
So so yeah, but I'm doing it for the people. I'm doing it for the good of this country. You know, how else can you? That's the only way this place is going to get fixed
mhm.
is by getting the right people in there that are going to be for the people and not fill their pocketbooks.
Yeah, Christian, conservative,
Yes,
constitutionalist
yes,
politicians to run things in a moral way
yes,
and to not say things like, "Well, you elected me and I get to make the decision now."
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's pretty screwed up.
yeah,
But Donald Arians, we only have about a minute left, so
yeah.
tell me where we can find out more about your race and anything you'd like to add.
You can get hold of me at through Facebook, or you can get or www.rients.net. It's rinks.net, and or call me. Names in the phone book, or yeah, just get hold of me that way. I'm telling you, I'm there to serve you. I'm not there to be served.
Mhm,
And if you're there to be served, you're part of the problem. You're part of the socialist, communist people, in my opinion.
mhm,
That's what they do. Power in this country was built from the bottom up, not from the top down.
mhm,
And we need to make sure that stays happening. Yeah.
mhm.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we are done with the show. Happy Friday, Donald Ray
Yeah.
Rains.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me
Thanks
here
for having me. Yeah.
on the Buzz. And folks, we'll do it all again on Monday morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. You guys stay safe out there. It's cold. It's going to get real cold tonight. We're looking at -19 wind chills. All right, bye bye. Love you. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's Cat Peterson 929.